Welcome back, True Seeker. Addressing this video to Nick Shirley, his mother, his cameraman, his audience, and everyone else who's planning to vote if they haven't done so already in the 2024 selection. I don't use the word election because that's not what these are. These are selections. We've been proving that for over a decade. But I want to play a clip of Nick's mom. What she said today. If you're not following, Nick Shirley is a guy who's gotten a lot of attention for politics because they bring him on Fox News, and him and his mother and his cameraman have been going city to city, interviewing people on the street, how they feel about the election, how they feel about the country, who they're voting for. And again, it's nothing surprising if you're an intellectual and know what's been going on in this nation for pretty much all your lifetime. You're just hearing nothing but people who are in the dark, who don't have a clue, who are caught up in the mainstream propaganda, believing all the lies. And it's a bad look. But anyway, Nick's mom today, she said she would like to debate somebody, and they were having trouble getting a debate on the streets. Anyhow, Nick's mother, if you're out there, you'd love to have a debate. Let's do it. You actually brought on somebody who learned from me, and they didn't give a very good presentation. I was quite disappointed to watch how a student of mine performed, and that student was the gentleman you guys met out in Chicago, Franchot Blue. He tried to give you a little taste of the things we talk about here, but what he did was very... it wasn't persuasive at all, and if I was somebody who didn't have a clue, I would have listened to that and just thought it was a bunch of malarkey and threw the baby out with the bathwater. But we're going to correct what Franchot did. And again, I just want to play a little bit of Nick's mom, what she said today, and then see how easy it is to put these arguments to bed. They're not hard to put together. They're not hard to put to bed at all when you got the information and you know the actual facts. So let's play here and just watch a little bit of this interaction, maybe 2-3 minutes, and then we'll get to it. And again, the reason people don't have the information that we have over here is because they're watching mainstream media. They're not doing any real investigative journalism. And you can't expect that from our media. Our media is nothing but propaganda. It doesn't matter if you're watching Fox or CNN or MSNBC or ABC or CBS or NBC. These are all propaganda networks meant to keep people in the lanes they're in, essentially in the dark. So let's just watch here and then we'll get to it.
Hey, nuclear bombs is not a game. Nuclear bombs is not a game.
This stranger from the street, her name's Brooker T. Jones, wants to come talk to you.
1 second. Okay, when Donald Trump, he had a chance, he was in there for 4 years. Did any bombings occur? Did any mass takeover occur?
No,
was life pretty good?
Things are changed, yes, but it ain't the same. Everything is very different now. Now you got war everywhere.
Oh,
how are you going to stop it?
We have war everywhere. Who's been our president for the past 4 years?
Got Biden with old timers.
I know.
We got a mental illness problem.
We got Biden, the old timers. Who's been his VP right next to him?
That's why I say both of them. Somebody. We got a puppet master here.
Okay, we got a puppet master here. Are you going to vote for that puppet again?
I'm not voting for neither. Everybody support Israel. You have to get rid of them. They're going to bring this country down. They're destroying us.
Think about it, though. Do you think if we wouldn't have had that puppet in there for the past 4 years, do you think this battle with Israel would have occurred? Or if we would have had...
It wouldn't have occurred. It wouldn't have occurred. But at the same time, Trump needs to say, Israel, you need to stop. You need to stop now what you're doing. You're making us look real bad.
Real bad.
But
it definitely needs to stop, because now we have, not only do we have the Palestinians involved with Hamas, and the whole Gaza Strip now it is so horrific what is going on. But now we have Iran coming in, and Iran is very, very scary. So now we've got all three of those battling each other. So we need someone in there in America that's going to say, stop this now, because...
Who is saying that? Which one candidate is saying stop the war?
Donald Trump. Underneath Donald Trump, there was no wars.
I heard what he said about Iran.
There was no wars.
What he said.
And when he went into Iran, I believe it was Iran where he went and had that meeting, right? And he gave the guy the photo. He said, I know where your house is at. If you mess with us, we're blowing it up.
Man, come on. That ain't gonna work now. He got Russia and China with him now. He ain't worried about
Would you rather have him be...
Okay, so anyhow, just so many misnomers already. Under Trump, there were even more drone bombings than under Obama, which is crazy to think about. Obama bombed away, and that wasn't an accident. It wasn't an accident that in these rigged selections we got Barack Hussein Obama after nearly a decade of fear-mongering about Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein. But Donald Trump upped the drone bombing program. We dropped a lot of bombs, a lot of taxpayer money, killed a lot of brown people under Trump. And by the way, the war on terror didn't end in the time of Trump either, did it? It ended when Joe Biden pulled out the troops from Afghanistan, which led to the government collapsing in Afghanistan on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th, a recurring date in history for high ritual. But again, just so many misnomers. And I don't think these people are trying to lie. I think they're just regurgitating what they're hearing in the news and the media. Because if you watch Fox News especially, which is, the network they go on, they say these things all the time, that no wars under Trump. Again, you guys, the United States is a military empire. It's always involved in militarism. That's what this nation was brought about to do, to be the sword of the New World Order, which is the Jesuit World Order. And again, this nation was founded 3 years after the Jesuit priest Father Amiot published the book Art of War. This nation is always involved in war, in militarism, and it was going on in the time of Trump. It's been going on in the time of Biden. It was going on in the time of Obama. It was going on in the time of Bush, most certainly. It was going on in the time of Clinton, and yada, yada, yada. This nation is always involved in war, and that's not by an accident. And just because we're spending millions a day bombing nations and they're not fighting back doesn't mean it's not a war. When you use weaponry, missiles, military aircraft to bomb parts of the world practically daily for 4 years straight, that's war. If they're not fighting back, it's just because they can't fight back. We're a big bully. So again, this stuff about no wars under Donald Trump, there was a lot of militarism, death and killing, business as usual, and it is business, sadly. There's a lot of money made off the military-industrial complex. Probably the last honest president we had was probably Eisenhower, who warned us about that as he stepped out of office. And then this whole thing about would the wars have broke out if Trump was in there? Again, all of this stuff is misnomer because all of these puppets have been installed by the code, just like how all of these wars have broken out by the code. Again, let's start with Russia in Ukraine. And really, that's not even the best starting spot, but let's just start there anyway. When did Biden and Putin meet to discuss the growing conflict before the war broke out with Russia and Ukraine? Out of all the days in the calendar year, when did they meet? They met on Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, 2021. December 7th, 2021, Pearl Harbor Day. Look it up if you don't know that. That's when they met. And there was something very significant about that day beyond it being Pearl Harbor Day. It was 201 days after the first ever Jesuitic Nation year began on May 20th. Cannonball Day, the day to remember Ignatius of Loyola being shot with a cannonball. Has to do with why Judge Eileen Cannon wanted Donald Trump in court on May 20th, Cannonball Day. And it has to do with why Billy Cannon died on Cannonball Day, and a whole bunch of other things. There are certain dates in the calendar year. Again, we're on a calendar that was given to us by the Jesuit priest Christopher Clavius. Again, Trump's Jesuit educated, so is Biden. Kamala's not, but she couldn't pass the bar until she took it at the Jesuit University. She's friends with a whole bunch of Jesuit educated people, from Newsom to the Pelosi's, etc., etc. But again, 201. They met 201 days after the first Jesuitic Nation year began. Fast forward to Biden signing off on $95 billion for Ukraine and Israel. When did he do that? He did it on the 201st day of the war in Israel. Again, what is 201? Why was that the name of the pandemic simulation that took place the exact same day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China? Again, October 18, 2019, Event 201, put on by the World Economic Forum, led by Klaus Schwab, Jesuit educated. Again, simulating a coronavirus pandemic that would last a year and a half. Again, if you haven't watched that simulation, which is still on the Johns Hopkins website, everything in the simulation is very similar to how it played out in the world. And again, 201, not an arbitrary number. It has to do with why, again, Donald Trump, his ex-wife fell down the stairs and died July 14th, 2022, exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year, which went more than a typical calendar year. And then he buried his ex-wife a few days later on the 201st day of the year. And that has to do with why Beau Biden died at age 46, 201 days before the first Jesuit Pope's birthday. And then he was elected number 46 exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. And that number has a lot to do with why JFK, the only other Catholic president, was killed at age 46. There's meaning behind all of these numbers. Again, you follow the Jesuit order that does run this nation and these puppet politicians. You know, Nick's mom wants to think Kamala's the puppet. Donald Trump's a way bigger puppet on the world stage, and the reason that's so is because he's been on puppet strings since he announced he was running by the numbers in 2015, and that puppet show really goes back to when he was on Oprah in 1988 talking about becoming president someday. But again, this 201 number, you can prove that it's important to the Jesuits because it's with their whole history. Again, from Martin Luther penning the 95 Theses, we're just days away from the anniversary, which is Halloween. It's funny how in Gematria, Halloween equals 95. But from penning the 95 Theses, again, to the creation of the Jesuits, August 15th, 1534, that was 201 months later. 201. When Martin Luther King Jr. got assassinated on the 95th day of the leap year, April 4th, 68, the nation's first major gun control came 201 days later. Remember, we just gave $95 billion to Israel and Ukraine on the 201st day of the war in Israel. And it goes with Event 201 happening the same day as the Military World Games in Wuhan, China. If you look up the Military World Games, they began in Italy, where the Jesuits' headquarters is, in 95. And those first World Games had major Jesuit sponsorship. The Jesuits have always paired 201 and 95. That's how you can see all of this stuff is ritualism. And then it starts to make more sense when you realize that two very prominent founders, Adams and Jefferson, who just happened to die together on the same day, July 4th, 1826, how they were two of the most outspoken founders about the Jesuits and how they could destroy this nation if they came out of suppression. From that time, as time went on, the capital of this nation was moved to the Jesuit city, Washington, D.C. That's where they set up camp when they came to America. Again, the capital didn't start in D.C., it started in Philly. And then they moved Inauguration Day eventually to the 20th day of the first month, 20/1, which is also the 201st day of the nation's age. And that's why you start to realize, oh, Beau Biden, he died at 46, 201 days before the first Jesuit Pope's birthday, Pope Francis, who's also the first Pope to live in Suite 201. And then Francis, the Jesuits are from France. The last French Pope was the 201st. Again, if you look into the history of the Jesuits, they were saved by Catherine the Great in the time of their suppression. The suppression happened after the first 201 days of the year passed, go figure. But their order was preserved by Catherine the Great, and in their history book, the Jesuits' own history, their order was preserved by 201 Jesuit priests who were able to remain their works in Russia under Catherine the Great. What are the odds of these things? And then again, it comes back to Russia and the U.S., these red, white, and blue flags, these big militaristic nations, space programs, nuclear, programs, so much shared history. Their history has generated a lot of money for the bankers and the warmongers. But then you got Biden and Putin just happening to meet 201 days into the first Jesuit Ignatian year. Remember when Tucker Carlson just went over and interviewed Putin, and Putin said, "Can I begin with some history?" And then he said the whole history of the conflict dates back to the Russian Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church. He went on for 30 minutes about this, and nobody focused on that at all. Everyone focused on his remarks about how the American CIA blew up the pipeline. What's it called? The Nord Stream? But yeah, the CIA. Again, when was the CIA created in history? Oh, that's right, on the 201st day of the Pope's age. The sitting Pope at the time, September 18th, 47. The same day George Washington laid the cornerstone in D.C. The same year Ruth Bader Ginsburg died by the numbers in history back in 2020, September 8th. Another recurring date in the capital city. And there's a reason there's recurring dates. It's because these dates have been made special for a reason by the same people who gave us the calendar, which is the Jesuits. Now, notice, we've been talking about this for a long time. We've been talking about this since before Trump even announced he was going to run for president. The New York Times has always been controlled by Jesuits, just like the BBC has. The New York Times is a Jesuit-run publication. And right now, the head of the New York Times was previously the head of the BBC, Jesuit-educated, case in point. But this article from the New York Times told us that a major war would start in Israel in 2023. And if you ask how that's so, I was talking about it since 2015. The reason that was so is because you have to understand the people who run this world, they're very much invested in Kabbalah. Kabbalah says God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. Again, Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah. They etch on the Masonic temple all as number. Modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation. DC is known as the Masonic City. But before that, it's where the Jesuits came to America and set up camp. That's why the first Jesuit university, Georgetown, is there. And realize, you could argue that there were presidents before George Washington, but isn't it interesting that Georgetown was established January 23rd, 1789, first Jesuit university, and then George Washington was inaugurated as the first president March 4th of that year, not even a couple months later. And don't forget the Jesuit priest, Mr. 201 himself, who brought back Jesuitism to the U.S., who was at George Washington's side when he died by the numbers on that fateful day, December 14th, which in more recent years was Sandy Hook, which came 201 months after the Dune Blaine massacre, which got gun rights taken away in the UK. Again, a reminder about how it was a 201 ritual in this nation with the first major gun control act after the very Jesuit killing of Martin Luther King Jr. by the same repetitive code. Again, when you had on Franchot Blue, he tried to teach you about Gematria, but he just did all of this ridiculous decoding and here, subtract this date from this date, and it just sounded like a bunch of nonsense. And it did. It was so bad. But again, Gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words. And I'm going to come back to, again, how this article right here on this day, and realize it was published October 6th, 1940. It was one day after the anniversary of that article that the war broke out in Israel, which was also the anniversary of us invading Afghanistan. But again, the Gematria piece I want to hit first with all the 201s we brought up. If you write out the Jesuit order and turn the words into numbers, it equates to 201. Just like the founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius of Loyola, equates to 201. If you write out the name of the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, it equates to 201. Again, he's the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. It has a name. It's called the Domus Sanctae Martyr, which equates to 201. And you can look at that building was originally built in tribute to Pope Leo, who died on the 201st day of the year. The Jesuits served the Pope. The phrase Catholic Pope equates to 201. Israel was created on the 14th day of May, like 145. There's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament, the Jewish section. The word Catholic equals 145. State of Israel equates to 201, like the Holy Bible equates to 201. We brought up how Biden's son died 201 days before the Pope's birthday on May 30th, 2015, when he was 46. The same Jesuit priest who was the former head of Georgetown did the funeral for Beau Biden and the inauguration for Joe Biden as number 46. That priest's name is Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan, which equates to 201. If you go back and look, right after Biden became senator-elect in 72, his wife and daughter died in a car crash on Limestone Road, which equates to 201. Again, when the Jesuits came out of suppression, there's only been one president to date whose name equaled 201. It was James Madison, 201, the father of the Constitution. The Jesuits came out of suppression while James Madison was the president. The first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Chief Justice John Jay, 201. There's such a long history of 201 rituals from back then to up now with this federal city. But again, Inauguration Day is the 201st day of the nation's age, 20/1. So you really start to think about that when you got the perfect Jesuit priest doing the funeral for Bo and then the inauguration for Joe. It's about the same numbers. State of Israel, which was created in a Jesuit Catholic ritual, again, synced up with the Catholic Old Testament, as we just mentioned. State of Israel equates to 201. David Ben-Gurion, whose name equals 145 like Catholic, who was the first prime minister, he ended up dying in history 201 days after the anniversary of Israel's establishment. Adam Weishaupt was the Jesuit who founded the Illuminati. He died in history 201 days after the anniversary of the Illuminati's establishment. He originally called it the Bavarian Illuminati. He renamed it Order of Illuminati, which equates to 201. And what does Illuminati mean? It's an Italian word, first of all. Italian, Vatican, Jesuits. But Illuminati means illuminated, in the light. In the original code of letters and numbers from the Hebrew alphabet, 201 pertains to enlightenment. Enlightenment. There's a book out there you can look up that focuses on this in the early start of the book. It's called Sefer Sapphire. Oh boy. Actually, I haven't said it in so long. I believe it's Sefer Sapphires. But the author is Wade Coleman, and he says in the book that's not his real name. He says it's just my pen name. He doesn't reveal who his real name is. But his pen name, Wade Coleman, equals 201. And he reveals this significance about 201 and the light. Again, it goes with the moon landing, the illuminated object, the supposed moon landing being on the 201st day of the year, July 20th, 1969, in the time of Cancer, when the moon is ruled by Cancer. Neil Alden Armstrong, 201. Again, the ritualism is deep. We talked about how Trump, his ex-wife, died exactly 60 weeks into the first Jesuit Ignatian year as the third headline pertaining to Trump on that day, when the first was him saying that he would run for the upcoming election, which is the 60th. The second was conservatives against Trump based on 60 legal cases. And then the third that day was his wife dying. All of these things in the same day, exactly 60 weeks into the first Jesuit Ignatian year and the lead up to the 60th election, which is now just days away. And keep in mind, this year's election falls on remember the 5th of November, which is the day in history that the Jesuits and the Catholic Church tried to blow up King James with the gunpowder plot. And again, Kamala started dating Willie Brown when he was 60 and she was in her 20s. She turned 60 just in time before the election. Supposedly Tim Walz is 60 years old, even though he looks 75. Again, Donald Trump in Gematria equates to 60. So does Alvin Bragg. So does indictment. All these indictment stories leading up to the 60th election. All of this stuff has been political theater. But coming back to this thing right here. Again, we've been talking about this since before Trump even announced he was running for president in 2015. October 6, 1940. 10 plus 6 plus 19 plus 40 is 75. One of the paths for the date numerology is 75. And of course, numerology 75 is 7 plus 5 is 12, and 12 is 1 plus 2 is 3. So it'd break down to 3, but it has this initial path of 75. New World Order equates to 75. Order out of chaos equals 75. Catholic Church equals 75. Roman Catholic equals 75. Israel was created May 14th, 48. So how old was it when the war broke out in 2023? It was 75 years old. We've been pointing to how this article pointed to when Israel's 75 and a major event coming in the world. What do the powers that shouldn't be use repetitively, did I just phrase that right? What are the powers that shouldn't be due repetitively to shape the world? They use acts of war, whether it is a world war or a war on terror or a war on germs or a drug war or weather warfare, which is above almost everybody's head. So again, that was one of the major clues. Let's not forget also, I mean, you can still look on my other channel, GematriaEffectNews 22. The video's still up from the day that Netanyahu came back. Netanyahu came back on Albert Pike's birthday, December 29th. Albert Pike, who wrote the letter about 3 world wars, published August 15th, 1871. Albert Pike's letter about 3 world wars was published on the Jesuit order's birthday. But 1229, that date, is a lot like 1229, which is the 201st prime. Again, Netanyahu comes back into power in the state of Israel, which equals 201. When did Netanyahu step down? He stepped down on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. These things are not an accident, but we said the day he came back, how it foreshadowed this war that we've been anticipating for all these years, especially coming back on Albert Pike's birthday. Albert Pike's Third World War, in his letter projecting the first 3, the third one has to do with political Zionism. So again, the political system, you guys, the Democrats and the Republicans, they're controlled by the same Jesuit cabal, and part of the reason they gave us these term limits is because it all just fits into their divisive game. They love to have an administration come in, enact a bunch of policies, do things, and then get out of office, and then watch those policies that they enacted, set off like a ticking time bomb, so that then they can point the finger at the sitting politician in there. This goes on all the time. When Clinton came into office, all of the Republicans said the economy started to boom from the things that Reagan had put into motion years earlier. And keep in mind, we got Reagan's vice president, and somehow they didn't go into motion in that time. But then when Clinton was in there, then all the Republicans said, oh, that was because of Ronald Reagan's great ideas. They finally just took hold in the time of Clinton. Republicans didn't want to acknowledge that it could have been the Democratic administration that got it to where they dreamed it would be, right? But it creates this game where people can keep going back and forth. Donald Trump prints off $6.2 trillion in stimulus. I told you that day before we got a check, I said this will cause major devaluation of the dollar. For all the people who've retired who have $400,000 in the bank from working their whole life, it's probably going to be worth about $300,000 by the time they get done printing all this money. It's probably even worse than that now. All of these things are easy to understand. This is simple economics. But look, Trump has no accountability for any of that. And they say, oh, look, it really took hold, the inflation, once Biden got in there. Now, Biden's administration didn't do anything to help. They did more money printing, which made it even worse. And again, Trump right now saying, listen, for years they wanted to drill in Anwar. I finally got the deal through. They were about to start the drilling, but then the Biden administration came in, and then they stopped the Anwar drilling, and they shut down those other pipelines, and now gas is through the roof. Again, you guys, this is the political game. Why do you think for decades everyone said no to drilling in Anwar and it's still a big no? They just made it like this so that Trump finally got it through so it could veto it, because it's all part of the political game. And really, do we want to be drilling in Anwar? It's like one of the most beautiful, preserved natural areas, which is a rare thing in the world. There's been a lot of things over the years explained what would happen to that environment with... see, that's the thing about Trump, you guys. He goes on and acts like drilling's no big deal and it's not going to cause any environmental destruction. Look all over the world where we've gone in and drilled to pull up the oil, and now how there's destroyed terrain, oil leakage all over, death to all the plant life and animal life. Again, the world, oil is the blood of the world, right? This industrial world we live in, which is not the world our ancestors lived in, it needs oil. It needs coal from the ground. It needs constant energy production. There is a dark side to it. The problem is nobody knows who to trust because everyone's lying on both sides all the time. And, you know, the Biden administration coming in and stopping oil production here and closing down this pipeline, it's not just because of that fuel prices have soared. That definitely didn't help. But look, I mean, have you looked at the profits these companies have been recording in the time of the Biden administration? They're through the roof. They're making way bigger profits. So that means that they're also charging everybody more to make bigger profits for themselves. And nobody seems to be calling that out on either side. But again, the point I'm making is all of this stuff is kept in a political game where everyone's constantly pointing the finger. No one's being accountable. People are trying to decide which political party's better. Neither of them are better. They're both totally corrupt and sold out and misrepresent everything and lie to us every single day. And at the end of the day, they're in bed together. Both of these political parties serve the same tyrant masters. And people need to understand, it is the Jesuits. They are the modern day Templars. The Templars are the original bankers. Everyone knows the international bank. Well, everyone with the brain knows the international banking system controls this nation. But who are those people really? Who are the real 13 families? Again, at the top of that list is the Orsini family. Powerful, wealthy family, invested in the popery. Or I should say the papacy. The family that's put the most popes in office is the Orsini family. They are connected to everything. They're still back there in the shadows. Nobody talks about them. Everyone sees this puppet stooge family, the Rothschilds, and they think that's the name. Nope, look at the way they just got rid of the Rothschild this year by the numbers at 87, perfectly synced with the 87th birthday of the Pope. Big sick joke. And by the way, I mean, you even go back to the Balfour Declaration, there is a Rothschild on that name, and go back and look at that Rothschild. You'll see he died 201 days from his birthday. What do you know? What do you know? But yeah, again, this was a headline in the New York Times run by Jesuits. The Catholic fingerprints are all over it. Just like how they're all over the creation of Israel and everything going on. Here, again, if you're new here, there's 4 base ciphers of Gematria. You got to know all 4. You'll see through the ritualism if you know it. Case in point, the word Catholic. 71. This war in Israel began on Putin's 71st birthday, who's waging a war in ancient Khazaria, which is where Ashkenazi Jews come from. That's how these things got synced up together with, on the 201st day of the war, Biden sends $95 billion to both nations. But with the alphabetic order, Catholic 71. The war again began on Putin's 71st birthday, 71 days before the Pope's birthday. And then 71 days after the Pope's birthday is when they took out that Rothschild banker. It's another story. But Catholic in 35. That's with the alphabetic order in numerology. Again, Catholic 71 when you just take the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4. It's 35 when you take the alphabetic order with numerology. JFK, first Catholic president, number 35, killed on I-35. Not an accident. Killed in Dealey Plaza, named after a Freemason. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Catholic is 145, like there's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. When you run it in reverse with numerology, it's 46, like there's 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, like JFK killed at 46, like Beau Biden dead at 46, like Joe Biden elected number 46, exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. There's a lot of 46 with death, too, because it's Genesis 46, which is about sacrifice. But again, when she's up here, like, mimicking who's the puppet, you can see that they're all puppets. You see how Freemasonry's 58, like Rosicrucian's 58, like secret society's 58? Again, the upcoming election is on the anniversary of the Jesuits in the Catholic Church trying to kill King James, who was a Freemason and a Rosicrucian and who eventually died at age 58. And he has a Bible named after him, and Biblical's 58, and Fraternal's 58, and goes on and on and on. But I just want to remind about King James and Trump and 58. Here, I want to write another 58 up here, Purple Rain, okay, to understand how big the puppet show is. So, the year that Trump won the election, and again, I hate how the haters always try to come out of the woodwork and downplay exactly what I said. Go back to the year Trump won in 2016. The 58th Grammys happened that year, at the start of the year. And Vanity, Prince's girlfriend, Prince who did Purple Rain, which came out in 84, the year Reagan won re-election, who also ran on MAGA, which is the highest degree of the Church of Satan, which we'll come back to, because again, Obama did joke on the Church of Satan's 45th birthday, April 30th, 2011, that Donald Trump would become number 45 at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And funny enough, the Church of Satan's birthday is 45 days from Trump's, and MAGA is the highest degree. And let's not forget that Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, died 201 days from his own birthday, but also 201 days from the sitting Pope's birthday at the time, showing you who's really behind the Church of Satan. But anyhow, do you remember that LeBron James in 2016, representing Cleveland, the 216 area code, not too different from 2016, 2016, 216. Last game in Cleveland that year, 216 points scored in Game 6, before LeBron won the finals for the Cavs on the real King James's birthday. Again, that's June 19th. We told you early in that season why LeBron will be winning the finals over the Warriors that year. LeBron and Steph Curry born in the same hospital in Akron, Ohio, along with Nate Thurmond, who died right after that finals, who is the father of LeBron. But again, LeBron wins the finals on the real King James's birthday. They call LeBron King James. Again, the son of King James was King Charles, and those who fought for King Charles in the English Civil War were called Cavaliers. That's how all these things fit together. But right after LeBron won the finals on the real King James's birthday, Trump had his convention in Cleveland, in the same stadium that LeBron plays in. And remember, he came out to Queen, We Are the Champions, synced with Queen Elizabeth. Notice how Queen of England is also 58, right? Elizabeth is 88, like Trump is 88, like Purple's 88. Trump came out to Queen, We Are the Champions, 88 days after the Queen's birthday, which was the day Prince died, who sang Purple Rain. And by the way, from Prince's death on the Queen's birthday, April 21st, to the election that year, here, again, you can look, Prince died April 21st, 2016. He had the song I Would Die For You with the number 4 and the letter U. Use the 21st letter. The election that year was November 8th. They called it for Trump on November 9th, the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. But notice, the election was 201 days after Prince died, okay? Mr. Purple Rain, 58th election. Remember, Bill and Hillary came out and conceded in purple. And if you go back and look, when they conceded, you can find the right news coverage where you can see on the screen that at the time when Bill and Hillary conceded, Trump was on 248 electoral votes. President Donald Trump, 248. And now here we are while the Illuminati in the United States of America are 248 years old. Remember Trump's mugshot on 24/8? Supposedly he was in an Atlanta jail for 15 minutes because it's all news by the numbers all day, every day. But anyway, again, King James was a Freemason and a Rosicrucian. Again, Freemasonry, Rosicrucian, Secret Society, they're all 58, right? The Queen's over in London, England, another 58. Modern Freemasonry was created in London, England. Trump announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower for the 58th U.S. presidential election. Okay? What is the first degree of Freemasonry? It is the honored apprentice. Okay? The honored apprentice. Think about it. Trump the apprentice. Go back to 1988. Again, Trump's 88. Look how Oprah is 58 and Oprah Winfrey is 58. Oprah interviewed Trump on April 25th, 1988 about if he would like to be president someday. And why does it matter that it was April 25th? That's the 115th day of the year typically. In a non-leap year, it's in a leap year, it's the 116th day of the year. Trump took office with the 115th Congress and also served with the 116th Congress. Suddenly Susan, popular TV show in the 90s, there's an episode where Trump is the president of the United States. What day did that episode come out? It came out on May 8th. 5/8. 5/8. Here, I just got to rewind and watch this one more time. I just want you to watch, Nick's mom talk about how Kamala's a puppet, and she is. But Trump's a bigger
It's
puppet.
not a game.
This stranger from the street, her name's Brooker T. Jones, wants to come talk to you.
1 second. Okay, when Donald Trump, he had a chance, he was in there for 4 years. Did any bombings occur? Did any mass takeover occur?
No,
Was life pretty good?
Things are changed. Yes, but it ain't the same. Everything is very different now. Now you got war everywhere.
Oh,
how are you going to
who,
stop
though?
it?
We have war everywhere. Who's been our president for the past 4 years?
Got Biden with old timers.
I know.
We got a mental illness problem.
We got Biden. We got Biden, the old timers. Who's been his VP right next to him?
That's why I say both of them. Somebody. We got a puppet master here.
Okay, we got a puppet master here. Are you going to vote for that puppet again?
I'm not.
Okay, so she's doing the puppet mocking here, rightfully so. But she doesn't understand that her guy Trump is an even bigger puppet. Now, I want you to think about this. When Joe Biden became senator-elect in 72, remember, President Biden equals 72, President Trump equals 72, Jesuit Order 72. They worship the sun, which moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. We got the first Jesuit Pope on March 13, 2013, the 72nd day of the year. But in 72, that was the 47th U.S. presidential election. This year's the 60th, with all the 60 business that we've been talking about. But that was the 47th. Back in 2020, Trump's line was, I've done more in 47 months than Biden's done in 47 years. And isn't it interesting how Biden took office as vice president with a 47-year-old Obama, and now Kamala is running to be number 47, and her father, again, Donald J. Harris, that's how big the puppet show is, Donald J., like Donald J. Trump. Again, he used to be an associate of Huey P. Newton, who founded the Black Panther parties. But Huey P. Newton died at 47 on August 22nd, 1989. What day did Kamala speak at the DNC in Chicago where the famous assassination of Fred Hampton, the Black Panther, happened? Assassinations, right? Big theme this year. By the way, if you guys end up watching this, Nick and Mom, you asked this man how he knew there'd be multiple assassination attempts of Trump. The real reason that I think he knew that is because he learned from me, and I said why that would be the case the day that RFK Jr. got in the race, which is another thing we can go back to. Notice when he answered the question to you, it didn't make any sense what he said. You were like, what? That's how you knew there were going to be multiple? That didn't even make any sense what you just said. It didn't make any sense. Long story short, the day that RFK Jr. got in the race when he filed his paperwork, it was April 5th, 4-5, like Trump number 45. Kind of like how the first Trump July 13th ritual under the 13 stripes, 13 weeks from the anniversary of Lincoln's assassination, which was the same day the Secret Service was created. That was 45 days after JFK's birthday anniversary. But anyway, when RFK Jr. got in the race on April 5th, 2023, by filing his paperwork, the 95th day of the year, I pointed out how that was 144 days after the Superior General's birthday, and how this election upcoming is 144 days after Trump's birthday, and how RFK, his father, in 68, died at 1:44 a.m., and JFK died 144 days from meeting with the Pope on July 2nd, and just before that, he lost his son on August 9th, the day leaving 144 days left in the year. A lot of people don't know that. Kennedy lost his infant son right before he was assassinated. Both 144 rituals. Lincoln was shot on 14/4. Even 2 days before Kamala was made the VP nominee, the wrestler James Harris, who was Kamala, the wrestler, she goes by Kamala, the wrestler went by Kamala. He died on August 9th, the day leaving 144 days left in the year. And again, it's another very special number to the Jesuits that has a lot to do with time. But I made that point that day. I said 1968 had multiple assassinations, MLK and RFK. He's doing this on 4/5. They've been flirting with Trump being like George Wallace, who was assassinated on the campaign trail and survived. They've compared him to they have compared him to Kennedy also, but they compared him more to Reagan, who ran on MAGA, who was shot. And so again, that's why it was sad for me to see Franchot Blue on there, blown opportunity, I would say, because you're getting a lot of traction right now. And he went on there and gave just a horrible explanation of everything. Anyhow, Anyhow, they don't call it political theater for nothing. All of these people that are allowed to be on the world stage are connected to the cabal. And a part of me wonders if you guys are. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know why they bring on, a young 22-year-old kid on Fox News. And, more power to you because I did see that your old channel was like being about like a jackass type of thing. And now you're trying to get into politics and do something more mature, which is great. I totally encourage that. But at the same time, I'm like, how does a 22-year-old who goes from like being Jackass, a YouTuber, you guys know the Jackass show from MTV, he was trying to do those types of things. But how does he end up getting brought onto Fox News to talk politics? And, I'm just questioning, like, you went to a prison that nobody else has been to and got to go in there. Like, how's this even happen? And just so you know, next time you're on TV, you said they only feed them black beans so they don't get any protein. Beans are one of the most rich food sources of protein in the world. So you're commenting on Jesse Waters about how they don't get to eat any protein. Just from the outside looking in, I'm like, why is this what they're bringing on TV? So again, since you're getting that opportunity, you should bring some real truth to the people. And see, what you're going around doing is you're demonizing people who say they're not voting. The people who deserve to be demonized are people who are voting. If you're voting in rigged selections, and all of these are, and here I'll walk you through how rigged they all are. If you're voting in rigged selections, which is what everyone's doing who's going to vote for this federal scam in 2024, all you're doing is exactly what the cabal wants you to do. They want you to vote in their rigged selections because then they can treat them like they're legitimate by having people lined up at the polls and dropping off, their slips in the ballot boxes. It makes their scam possible. Again, we've all heard the quote, it doesn't matter who votes, it only matters who counts the votes. It's the same thing here. That's why all of these selections are perfectly rigged rituals. And Nick, you're a younger guy. You weren't even alive when 2000 happened, but I don't have words for any adult who still votes in rigged selections after witnessing what happened in 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012. Think about that too, because I know you guys are members of the church, the LDS, the Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. Again, the Mormon religion, I do believe they're editing it out of their books now, but forever the religion taught that the closer you are to God, the whiter your skin is, which is totally racist. So yeah, you got a Mormon running against the first black president, and we'll get more to why that was. But 2016, you get the Apprentice joke. 2020, you get the Joe Biden joke. Here, let's just go through them. I was 17. I couldn't even vote in 2000, but I was a senior in high school, and I had to debate about this, and I was very outspoken about how rigged the whole thing seemed to be. You see how Florida equals 43? The 2000 election came down to Florida, and it gave us number 43. The first Bush Republican president since the last, who was the father, who was also the 43rd vice president. But again, Jeb Bush was the 43rd governor of Florida at the time. George W. Bush became the 43rd president. Florida has the Gematria 43. They told us over a month in advance that the election was going to come down to Florida, which was driving me nuts as a 17-year-old in high school. Because I was saying, how do they already know this? Like, these polling experts, who even gets has anybody ever even been polled in their life? I don't know anybody who's ever been polled, yet the news media every day has up all this polling data. Here I am, I'm 41 years old right now, still never been polled. I talk to my neighbors whenever they bring up this stuff. I say, have you ever been polled? They're like, actually, I haven't. I'm like, yeah, I've literally never met anyone who's ever been polled. I'm sure there'll be some troll in the chat that's like, I've been polled before. Yeah, I'm sure you have. I don't know anyone ever who's been polled. And I don't think anybody else does either, besides maybe a troll in the chat that's trying to legitimize BS. The Shirley family, have any of you guys ever been polled? But the polls were all telling us it was going to come down to Florida. It's like, huh? And remember, in 2016, all the polls said Hillary was going to win in a landslide. And that was all part of the setup debacle of mocking everybody. Trump paid out a lot, and people in our community didn't win money because I said back in February at the start of the month why Trump was going to win the election. Now, it is true that later that year, I did think it got ridiculous in 2016. February 2016, I explained why he'd become the Republican candidate and win the election. As the year went on, I thought it got too ridiculous. No, this must just be the setup to put Hillary in there, who nobody wants. So yeah, I did come back off my initial pick that year. That didn't happen in 2020. I told everybody it was all rigged for Slow Joe. But anyway, Florida 43, and where did the Bushes go that were both presidents? They're both members of Yale, Skull and Bones, and they do a lot of rituals with Yale in 43, including the Goatville killings, right before Brady went down to Florida at age 43 and won the rigged Super Bowl, the same guy who benefited from being on the Patriots after 9/11 and the Patriot Act. Remember, GOAT 43, greatest of all time, 188, Brady won the Super Bowl at 43 in Florida, 188 days after his 43rd birthday. But, okay, so that was 2000. That was 2000. And remember, Bush just happened to be in Florida the day of 9/11 as well, the day that 2 towers became 0 before they rebuilt it as One World Trade Center, 201. Anyhow, and let's not forget the movie about Skull and Bones with Paul Walker, where he gets the red Porsche in the movie years before he died in a weird red Porsche ritual 5 years before Papa Bush died on the same day. Sadly, we called that too. We said why Papa Bush wouldn't live past 94 on November 30th, 2018, exact day he ended up dying. That was the last time I had a video go viral. I got over 1 million views within 24 hours from that, and I saw what it is when your content goes viral, because I also made over $5,000 in one day off book sales, and never been able to go viral since. Had probably 15 more channels deleted since then. Again, if this work went viral, this movement would be well funded, and it deserves to go viral every day. I mean, this live stream I'm doing right now should wake everybody up. It should have Nick Shirley instead of walking across the nation asking all these yoo-hoos who know nothing about nothing what they think's going to happen. Who cares? You can talk to 100 million people. If they don't know what's going on, the 100 million opinions are worth a big fat 0. And that's what it is to talk to most of them in this country, because they're absolutely clueless and brain dead. Just letting the TV do their thinking for them, where all you get is BS on TV. Non-stop lies. Non-stop lies. That's all the TV does every day. Non-stop lies and disinformation. Mind control, propaganda, nothing else. No truth, no real journalism. But anyway, about this Yale Skull and Bones thing. What was the election in 2004? It was Bush and John Kerry. And what did they have in common? They were both members of Yale Skull and Bones, a very powerful secret society that only allows 15 members per year. Tim Russert asked both men, what are the odds that you guys were both in Yale Skull and Bones? And they both were very mum about it. They're like, well, Tim, it's a secret society, so we can't say much. If people don't know that, look it up. Tim Russert on Meet the Press asked Bush and Kerry, what are the odds that you guys were both in Skull and Bones? And by the way, Tim Russert was also Jesuit educated, as are half the people on television. If they're not Jesuit educated, they went to a Catholic school. Hello, Jesse Waters. But Jesse Waters also went to Trinity. But anyway, 2000 was about 43. 2004 was about 43 in Yale Skull and Bones again. And don't forget that Papa Bush was number 41. Skull and Bones is 41. That's why he died on November 30th. 11 plus 30, 41. Paul Walker was in the movie The Skulls that came out right before Bush became the second Bush president. That movie came out 201 days after Paul Walker's birthday. And just for the record, there is a cipher that incorporates capital letters. In that cipher, Skull and Bones is 201 as well, just for the record. Papa Bush is born on the day leaving 202 days left in the year, June 12th. The son's born on 7/6, July 6th. On his 76th birthday was the day the Georgia Guidestones came down, 201 days after the Pope's birthday, or on the Pope's 202nd day of his age. Again, if you guys don't know about the Georgia Guidestones, they talked about reducing the Earth's population to 500 million and uniting the world in a new living language, which is obviously English. And again, they were put up on March 22nd, 322, in the year 80, the year that Reagan won election the first time. 80 is a special number. Satan's 80, Baphomet's 80, Bavarian Illuminati's 80, the original name, which is a totally satanic order. And it's why the Illuminati and Jesuit fingerprints are all over the Church of Satan. And again, it's not an accident that, here, what is the highest degree of the Church of Satan? I say I got all kinds of typos there, but I bet it'll figure out the answer anyway. Again, the highest degree is mega. And again, is it true or false that on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan was April 30th, 2011? And is it true or false that Trump was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner with Obama that day, joking, or was it a joke that Trump would become number 45? And remember, there's a lot of Satan jokes with Obama, which we're going to get to. So, okay, we've covered the 2004 election. We've covered 2000, 2004, and now let's do 2008 with Obama. These base ciphers, these are the ones to learn. The most important cipher outside of the base ciphers is something known as Jewish Gematria, which Derek renamed Latin on his calculator. Satan equates to 232 in this cipher. The country was 232 years old when Obama became president-elect. And do you see how Satan equals 55? Notice how lightning equates to 55 and 44. You might recall the other year on Obama's birthday, a couple from Wisconsin was hit with a lightning bolt. Wisconsin's 55 and 44 like lightning. Again, in Luke 10:18, Satan comes to earth in a bolt of lightning. 10:18, like the date of the Event 201 simulation, like the Holy Bible's 201. There's phrasing in the Bible. By the way, the Holy Bible's 60 as well. The original Jesuit order for the first decade they were with the Catholic Church was limited to 60 members. The word order itself equals 60. We got this 60th election upcoming where there's been so many 60 rituals in the lead up to it surrounding Donald and now 60-year-old Kamala. But hold on, coming back, again, lightning has that 44 in it, right? Obama number 44. His name Barack means lightning, Barack Obama. So he's got the lightning connection. Again, Satan comes to earth in a bolt of lightning. Obama elected number 44, 44 years after the Civil Rights Act, when the most famous face of that act was MLK killed in a Jesuit ritual on 4/4. So think about Obama with this Satan joke connected to him being the one that tells the joke on the birthday of the Church of Satan about Trump becoming the president who runs on mega, the highest degree of the Church of Satan. And for people who are not familiar with the Church of Satan, you should look into their tenets. The first one is to worship yourself. So, I mean, if you just think about that in light of Trump, I mean, a light bulb should go off. Because Trump worships himself. People like listening to this man talk, and it blows me away because all he's doing is talking about himself and how great he is and how bad everyone else is, with almost no substance to anything he's saying. And again, when they accuse him of being a liar, he is, but so is every politician, so I don't want to get too caught up in that part. It's just, again, to understand the ritualism and how demented our government is and what's controlling it and how almost everyone's blind to it, that's the point I want people to see. I'm not caught up in political parties and which one's better, because neither is the answer. But again, I want you to notice this too. You see how Obama equals 31? I want you to look up what day the federal government recognized Black History Month for the first time. It was February 10th, 76, in the middle of Black History Month. February 10th, 76, not arbitrarily that day. But then I want you to look at what day Obama announced he was running for president. You'll see that it was February 10th, 2007. So exactly 31 years to the day when Obama's 31, and 31's the 11th prime number, and black equals 11. And again, Satan's related to the beast, and you study occult numerology, you'll see 11's attached to Satan. And I mean, this is made obvious in the movie Rosemary's Baby. And by the way, black people, I'm not saying you guys are satanic. That's not the point. I'm just talking about how these people put their rituals together in numbers. But if you've never seen Rosemary's Baby about selling your soul to Satan for fame, all of the dark, demented rituals in that movie happen at 11 a.m., 11 p.m. Always 11's in that movie if you've never seen it. Just like 9/11, just total evil. Paying tribute to Genesis 11:9 about the Tower of Babel, the tower that divides the world. Again, the Holy Bible 201. 2 towers became 0 before they became 1. So, Obama. Notice how Barack Obama equals 76, right? Black History Month was recognized by the feds in 76. Slave equals 76. Negro equals 76. Rasta equals 76. Blues equals 76. Acts is the 44th book of the Bible. Acts 7:6. Acts 7:6. And God spake on this wise, this old Shakespeare version, the King James Version, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and that they should bring them into bondage and entreat them evil 400 years. Now, if you've seen the movie that Obama did, supposedly he's the producer of Leave the World Behind, there's 76s everywhere in the movie. And then when the news media compared the cell phone black outage that happened earlier this year to Leave the World Behind, that was 76 days after the movie came out on Netflix. And of course, in the end of that movie, if you haven't seen it, it's about the fall of America. Leave the World Behind's 192. The end of the movie ends with a billionaire bunker with Commodus on the wall. And Commodus died in what year? Commodus, who marks the fall of the Roman Empire, died in the year 192. And Leave the World Behind's 192. And this is Obama's first movie. Again, I highly doubt Obama had anything to do with Leave the World Behind other than his name being attached to it. But the point is, and by the way, let's make another point too real quick. I'm gonna make this easy. I'm just gonna get two ciphers up on the screen. I'm gonna write out all these words. I'm gonna write out slave, Negro, blues, Rasta, renegade, that was Obama's Secret Service name, and Barack Obama. Well, the 76 isn't there in that cipher because it's the reduction, but notice Barack Obama is 68 like MLK was killed on 4/4. But notice how renegade is 59 like Rasta, blues, Negro, slave, like how Motown came out in 59 and Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year as long as it's not a leap year. Obama just appeared with Eminem, who did black music in Detroit and did the Lose Yourself lyrics by the numbers. They did the same thing to Elvis Presley. They attached the 59 to Elvis, who they also accused of making black music. Elvis, who died at 42, another big number on Black History, like Jackie, like Detroit on the 42nd parallel. But yeah, notice again, just slave, Negro, blues, Rasta, Barack Obama, all 76. All of this stuff is high ritual. And they use these numbers all the time so repetitively. They just did it you guys, if you're watching the World Series with Dodger Stadium, they keep zooming in on the oil 76, 76 gasoline company, the big orange on Dodger Stadium 76, Jack Robinson 76, Jackie Robinson Day 76. The other year on Jackie Robinson Day, David Peralta with the game winner. Just over and over. There's so many examples, but rigged sports, rigged politics, all controlled by the same Jesuit Masonic cabal, all brought together as we demonstrate for now over a decade. Again, understand, like if Fox News was a real news network, if CNN was a real news network, if they were looking for real investigative journalists, they'd be bringing on people like me. Hey, Nick, you're a young guy, but at age 22, you should know that black beans have protein in them. You shouldn't be on TV going, yeah, they only feed them black beans. They don't feed them any protein. I'm just like, how are they even putting this on TV right now? Like, what? Oh, my God. But yeah, again, it's the information age. It's 2024 to be going around the country. Because, see, what Nick and his mom like to do is lecture people who aren't voting. Like, you need to be voting as an American. No, you don't. You need to be revolting as an American. If you're not revolting, you're part of the problem. You are part of the problem if you're not revolting. And the problem is when you have just like one man revolt, like I did in a major way in 2013, you get singled out and you get destroyed. You lose your livelihood. Your house gets ransacked, you lose your business, you get blacklisted from your profession, you have cars crashing through your house. Again, it has to be everyone sharing information and knowledge and getting on board with the truth, not what the TV told you, which only lies to you every day, and you should know that in 2024, not what some political party told you that never delivers on their promises and lies to you every single year. And then they shift through this political party from good cop to bad cop. In the 2000s, the Republicans were obviously the bad cops unless your head was way up your ass. Right now, the Democrats are obviously the bad cops unless your head's way up your ass. But this will continue to shift as time goes on, because this is how they keep people going back and forth, and oh yeah, I used to vote for that party, but now I'm in this party. You haven't figured out that both these parties are just playing a game with your life? So anyway, 2008 was Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, who upped the bombing. And let's not forget, that year the Democrats took the House, the Senate, and the Oval Office. And again, Obama wasn't running on ending the wars, but almost all the other Democrats were saying that if we win, we're going to end these wars. Well, once they got in there, did they end the wars or did they escalate the wars? Right, they escalated the wars. So, and I was talking to people the whole time. I was living in Seattle at the time, and I was, again, everyone hated me because I'd be out at every political event, going on the mic and saying what nobody wanted to hear. That Obama was not who they thought he was. They should look into his political resume in Illinois, which looked no different than a Republican. And it didn't. I mean, he looked like a Republican. And you start to look at most politicians, you can't differentiate. You're like, what party are you on? Again, it's just all of these people serve the corporatocracy, big industry, big money, big banking, big militarism. That's what they all do. They might get out there and have different campaign slogans, and see, then they get people caught up in these emotional issues. Like Nick Shirley's favorite question is, do you want guys competing against women in college sports? Yeah, it's just like, you couldn't even imagine 20 years ago that this would even be a thing. But it's like a giant carrot on a stick distraction from all the issues that nobody ever talks about that are even more important. And trust me, I don't think men who identify as something else should be competing against women. And I think anyone who's like, oh yeah, I think that's fine. I think that just shows how insane people are right now from watching TV and getting programmed and propagandized. But again, in 2008, I was pointing out things like how Obama campaigned for months on how the immunity could not pass for the telecom companies, which was the big upcoming bill. He was saying it could not pass, it could not pass. He was a constitutional lawyer. This is the biggest violation of our rights as citizens ever. He was saying the right thing. It should not pass. It was a huge violation. It was totally wrong. But then it came time to vote, and he voted for it. So I was out at all the different Seattle groups, trying to think of like all the liberal things because Seattle's a very liberal city. Oh my God, I can't even think of all the different liberal groups that are all over Seattle, but they're just constantly having events, and I'd go there and I'd raise my hand or get on the mic and I'd say, listen, this is what Obama just did, and people would get mad, like, well, what are you saying then? We should vote for the Republicans? That's just like that's how everybody is. It's like, no. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, why are you all here so passionate about this total fraud of a candidate? That's what I'm saying. How can you be passionate about a guy who says this for months and then does the exact opposite? How could you ever trust that person as your president? See, everyone's just so caught up in it's this or that. Well, I'm not going to vote for that, so I'm voting for that. No, stop voting for this or that, the lesser of two evils, and shut this shit down. I've been there for the whole time. Since before I could even vote, because I've seen how they're just mocking us. And people get mad. People say I was a racist. I'd be like, don't you guys think it's funny that the name is Barack Hussein Obama after, they're like, what, are you against Muslims? I'm like, no. I'm saying, what are the odds that this is the candidate's name after all this fear-mongering about Osama and Saddam Hussein? And then other people are like, come on, man, that's just a coincidence. It's like, oh man, it's just so bad. It's so bad. So then we get 2012, and then you get, the token black guy versus the Mormon, where, again, Mormonism was founded by a Freemason. Joseph Smith and Brigham Young died 33 years apart in Masonic rituals. And now the Mormons have a temple right next to the Vatican, opened by the numbers. But again, I mean, that was just so obvious. Like, don't you guys see the symbolism of this? I mean, first of all, a Mormon has no chance of ever winning in America because people laugh at Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses like they're the biggest weirdos in the world, when in reality, the whole Christian faith is total weirdoism. I mean, you go to church and you drink blood and you eat bodies and you think God sacrifices human beings, and all you need to do is believe in a mystical story from so long ago to get to the eternal afterlife. Like, it's just All of this stuff is such obvious crap, just like our elections, where all these frauds swearing on the Holy Bible, and now Trump even has a $60 one for the 60th election. But yeah, it just, so, I mean, that was 2012. You don't even need to say anymore. Mormonism says the closer to God you are, the whiter your skin is. And yet somehow Samoans are signing up for this religion left and right. Samoans, big muscles, maybe not big brains. I don't know. I didn't want to say that, but I don't understand why there's so many Samoans getting into the Mormon religion. Like, do you know what it says in the book? It essentially says that you'll never be close to God because your skin's darker. 2016, again, just the apprentice ritual. But the apprentice ritual, and you remember Trump was in his 71st year of life when he took office. Grover Cleveland died at 71. Grover Cleveland, the only split-term president, number 22 and number 24. Trump announced at the end of 2022 that he was running for 24. Again, he had his convention in Cleveland, the 216 area code in 2016 in LeBron Stadium. Remember how LeBron came out with that show, The Wall, right after he won the finals, while Trump's running on building a wall? And see, that's the thing, too. For all the Trump people, it's like, the guy promised you he was going to have a wall built, shut down all the immigration, and have Mexico pay for it, and now he's nothing but excuses and saying, well, had he got another term... Do you guys remember that? Oh my God. I'm reminded of all the things. Do you remember how there was a show that came out when Trump was 12 years old? God, what was the show called? But it was about a con man named Trump who promised to build a wall to save everybody down in Texas. Look it up. There's an old Western show, and that is the plot of the episode. I cannot remember the name of the show. Hold on. Bear with me 1 minute. I want to pull this up. This is how long all this stuff's planned in advance. Trump, con man, God. Texas, wall. Let me see. Here we go. Track down. Yeah, this is the one right here. Track down. Track down was the name of the show. The episode came out on May 9th. It's like, did they screw up? Why didn't they put that one out on 5/8 like the Suddenly Susan? Freemasonry does equal 58 and 59. Trump lost the 59th election to Biden. But in that episode, he wanted to build a wall in Talpa, Texas. And notice how Talpa, Texas has the 119, just like how they called the election for Trump on November 9th, the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. And, you know, whoever wins this election takes office with the 119th Congress. They didn't make it easy, though, this time, because Radiohead, the band that has the song Electioneering, did the song Lotus Flower, which came out on the 47th day of the year, 119 days after Tom York's birthday. And again, Kamala means lotus flower, and Trump gave the lotus flower to the Pope when he visited the Pope on May 24, 2017. Here, again, just to understand how big the puppet show is and how they're both part of it, you see how Horror Babylon equals 217? It also equals 71 like Kamala Devi Harris, like how Trump was 71 when he took office. Or he was in his 71st year of life when he took office. He turned 71 during his first year as president on June 14th. But go back and look. When Trump went to the Vatican, he gave the Pope a lotus flower. And he did that 217 days after Kamala's birthday. Kamala means lotus flower. When Biden passed the torch to Kamala, it was on the 21st day of the 7th month, the anniversary of the Jesuit suppression. But that was 217 days after the Pope's birthday. And we all know how Kamala climbed to the top. And we all know she wore purple with the pearl necklace on Inauguration Day, just like Lisa Simpson, the first female president of The Simpsons, which followed Trump. Again, the Whore of Babylon wears purple with a pearl necklace. But yeah, it was a big 217 ritual with both of them, Trump and Kamala. So anyway, this cartoon when Trump was just a little kid was about a con man named Trump in the wall in Texas. And the name of the show was Track Down, which is 134, like Make America Great Again. That episode came out 37 days from Trump's birthday, the 12th prime. Track Down's also 37 in the base ciphers. Again, these people were born for the throne. Oh, shit. I did point out that it came out on May 9th, but it did come out in 58 as well. Not even winning the 58th election. And again, notice how Freemasonry is 58 and 59, and 59 is the 17th prime, and modern Freemasonry was created in 1717, and then this nation was created 59 years later. And it's just like how there's that old book about the last president, Barron Trump, right? God, I'm forgetting things because I haven't talked about him for years. But yeah, this whole thing is a puppet show. This image of Trump doing the image talking to digital sheep is for Serta mattresses from years before he became president. And Trump's talking to sheep about how they'll never count sheep again. And he keeps dropping these lines about how there'll never be another election. Again, the only people voting in these elections are sheep. Period. End of discussion. But yeah, there's, again, so much evidence for the scripts we're living out. Trump was, notice how 3 of the presidents from recent years were all born in the same year. Right around the same time the CIA was established, Israel was established. 46, again, big Catholic number. Clinton born in 46, George W. Bush born in 46, Trump born in 46. Biden was born 4 years before that. Here we deployed troops to World War II as World War. And that's the thing too, just rumors of World War breaking out while Biden's in office. Who was born the year that we first deployed troops to World War II shortly after Pearl Harbor. And Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, right? Just like how Biden's wingman. Look at this, you guys. If you don't know this, you see how Maui is 64? You see how Joe Biden is 64? You see how Barack Hussein Obama is 64? Like civil rights is 64, and Kamala was born in 64, the year of the Civil Rights Act? Go back and look at what day Biden went and talked to Maui after it burned up in the Big 201 ritual. He went to talk to Hawaii on the state's 64th birthday. And by the way, from Biden's birthday to Hawaii becoming a state is 201 months later. That's how planned out all this stuff is. But yeah, Biden spoke to the Hawaiians about Maui burning up and the big ritual that was. Weather warfare is a real thing. Again, Lyndon Johnson talked about it at Holy Cross 201 days after JFK was assassinated. Holy Cross Jesuit University, where Fauci went, who was part of the Event 201 simulation. But Anthony Fauci was also at Georgetown 10 days before Trump took office at a pandemic preparedness conference, and he said there'll be a major epidemic in the time of the Trump administration, 10 days before Trump took office. Both Jesuit educated. But the day that Biden spoke at Maui, it wasn't just Hawaii's 64th birthday as a state. It was 13 days after the fire, and Hawaii was once overthrown by a political group called the Committee of 13. The Committee of 13. Think about Trump under the 13 stripes on the 13th of July, pumping his fist 13 weeks from the anniversary of the establishment of the Secret Service. And what else is funny is for years they've been comparing Trump to George Wallace, whose name equals 60, from the Wallace assassination, which is the anniversary of Operation Warp Speed, where Trump's the father of the jab, which is also Mercuralia, the day to celebrate Mercury. I'll let you think about that one a little bit more. It's also the anniversary of Claydex, 2 years to the day earlier, which was 666 days before the pandemic was declared. But from the George Wallace shooting to the Trump shooting was 60 days. Again, all of this stuff was telegraphed a million miles away. And, Nick likes to act when people tell him on the street that it was staged, like, I doubt that very much. Dude. I don't know what you guys are into and how you even get to go on Fox News, but if you cannot see that it was staged, a lot of this country can't, but that's not anything to compare yourself to. This country's brain dead. This country's totally brain dead. Hey, watch my video from the day before it happened, July 12th, and how I talked about the upcoming assassination hoaxes with Trump. We literally did a video on that the day before it happened, July 12th. You can go back and check it out. And I've been talking about it for a lot of years. And that's why when you brought Franchon on to explain how he knew that they were coming and his explanation didn't make any sense, understand, Franchon watches my videos and then tries to do what I do and put his own spin on it, which always makes the work look terrible. Just like how he looked horrible in the interview you did with him. But I bet anything that had you done the interview with me, your audience would have had a lot different interpretation. And even still, some people will watch what I'm saying and they'll think it's all BS, but that's not because I'm doing a bad job. It's because their brains are full of shit. You know, where there should be brain matter, there's really just floating shit. And that's because most people in this nation, they don't eat well, they don't have a proper education, they don't get enough sleep, and those three things result in the catastrophe that is the average American mind. But again, if you're voting in rigged selections, you are part of the problem. You are a part of evil, voting for the lesser of two evils, and neither of them are lesser. Again, a lot of people think, oh, if Trump would have had a full term that wasn't interrupted by the pandemic, there wasn't a pandemic. There was never a pandemic. They locked down the nation because people died in a nursing home in Bill Gates' backyard. By the way, another Agent 201, whose wife at the time, Melinda Gates, is from a family of Jesuit priests and also has an August 15th birthday. But again, Bill Gates in the land of the world's biggest needle in King County. Actually, here, let's close out with that. Let's close out with the pandemic and where Trump was the day the first case in the world was found outside of China in Bill Gates' backyard, where then suddenly the 80-some-year-olds in the nursing home died, so we had to shut down the country because 80-year-olds in nursing homes don't die all the time. Look at this. Let's talk about where Trump was on the 222nd day of his age as coronavirus was confirmed in the U.S. I wrote a book about this for the record. They called it Wuhan coronavirus, right? See the 222? Look at World Economic Forum. This is where Trump was. He was in Switzerland at the World Economic Forum, the same ones that did the Event 201 simulation the day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China. And they did it in New York, where the World Trade Centers came down in a 201 ritual. And by the way, from the day they declared the pandemic back to 9/11 was exactly 222 months. March 11th, 2020 to September 11th, 2001. And March 11th is also the day they did the tribute in light with the two massive purple beams to remember the fallen World Trade Centers. But if you spell out Event 201, it's also 222. Order Out of Chaos is 222. And there are things I'm forgetting right now that are definitely 222. But just think about that list right there. Trump, on his 222nd day of his age, is at the World Economic Forum that simulated the pandemic, gloating about his trade deal with China, saying the world will never be the same again. And if you look, they say that first case of COVID arrived in the U.S. on January 15th, 2020. That was the same day that Trump signed off on his trade deal with China, January 15, 2020. If you go look at the Event 201 simulation, only two CDCs of the world participated, China and the U.S. So Trump's trade deal with China was the same day that the case supposedly arrived, but then he was there to gloat about it on January 21st, which is the day, again, the first case in the U.S. was confirmed. What are the odds of these things? He's in Switzerland where all the banks are. Who fled to Switzerland when they were burned at the stake? That's right, the Templars, the original bankers. And what's in the middle of the Jesuit Order's logo? The Templar cross. Look, the word Templar is 85, like the Jesuit motto, Isus Omnem Salvator is 85. That's why we invaded Afghanistan, and Bush referred to it as a crusade on October 7th, the day leaving 85 days left near. It goes along with why Israel's 9/11 happened on the same day, October 7th. Again, all of this stuff is high ritual, pointing back to the church that runs the nation. And it runs your church too, you LDS magical underwear wearing people. Again, that's why you guys opened up your temple there next to the Vatican by the numbers. But yeah, you just think about these things and the odds of them being a coincidence. You go back and look at Trump's speech. And by the way, if you go look at Trump's speech from January 21st, the day it was confirmed in the U.S., you'll see that his speech started at 11:47 a.m. If it's even documented, go look it up. I challenge anyone to look it up and see if I'm lying about a word of this. You will find out I am not. But it had to start at 47 minutes after the hour for Trump. You see how Trump is 47? Look at all these 47 words. And remember, Biden and Kamala are running to be number 47. Kamala just spoke at the DNC again on the anniversary of the death of Huey P. Newton at 47. But look at all these 47 words. President, 47. White House, 47. Government, 47. Authority 47, Republican 47, Democrat 47. They're all 47. And again, even the letters DC alone, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, are 47. Again, this nation's birthday is the 4th day of the 7th month. George Washington laid the cornerstone for DC on September 18th, 1793, a date with 47 numerology. The 47th problem of Euclid is what the Masons study. Trump was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel the night of the rigged selection. Again, 2020, Biden becomes president after being in D.C. for 47 years. Obama took office with him at age 47. Kamala now running to be 47. One-term senator who took the White House with Biden. All these parallels. Again, Biden, who won the election in 72, which was the 47th U.S. presidential election, eventually beats Trump. Lincoln. You see how Whig is 47? Lincoln turned the Whig Party into the Republican Party. He said 47 years ago. None of these things are an accident. Lincoln dies in a theater, so we're told, what goes down in the history book with the ongoing political theater. Again, numbers. They etch on the Masonic temple, all is number. 47 relates to the Tetragrammaton in the Old Testament. God, again in Kabbalah, God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. These people playing God over our lives every day. Scripted politics, scripted sports. Congrats to the winners. Torched the NFL again yesterday. Went 12-3. We favored Washington. On 18-date numerology, they beat the Bears with 18 points on an obvious scripted ending. A Hail Mary, a word that can't get any Catholic, as none of the defenders try to bat it down and said they volley it up like a volleyball to the tight end, wearing number 85, who's standing right behind the pack, who volleyed it to him. And again, just mockery for the Bears fans. They haven't won the Super Bowl since 85 season, and Chicago's where the National Football League was founded. Again, all of this stuff is connected. Yesterday was 85 days after Brady's birthday. His Patriots beat Aaron Rodgers, who's 40, reminding that only Brady can win in his 40s, because it's all nothing but scripts. 9/11, Patriot Act, Patriots. Again, it's all a joke. It's all a joke. And don't forget, Trump said he was cheering for the Patriots when they had the 25-point comeback on 2-5 in the 97th season, when 97's the 25th prime, and they moved the touchback to 25 yards. And the first Super Bowl season was the 47th season of the NFL. Again, American football, American basketball. Well, just basketball, period. It's actually from a Canadian Naismith. Baseball from Abner Doubleday. All of these sports are credited to Freemasons. First pro basketball championship in 47. MLB changed their logo in 47. Same logo they use today. But yeah, Trump's 25 like Pope. The Pope blessed that Super Bowl. Falcons is 25. Matt Ryan went to the Jesuit school, Boston College. Do we need to play the clip of Matt Ryan giving up the big lead against Dallas? The original Dallas team was the Dallas Texans, who became the Kansas City Chiefs. But my friend JHW3D has the clip of Matt Ryan's 201st career game. Again, Jesuit-educated at Boston College. Gave up the lead to the Boston team, the 25-point lead in that obvious script. Again, that was the 97th season. Bill Belichick's 97. 25th prime. But yeah, go back and watch my... Here, this is the channel name, JHW3D. Look up my friend's channel. Give him a sub. Just scroll through his videos. You'll see the one of Matt Ryan's 201st game. Watch how the NFL had to contrive a 201 stat with Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, and it was the year Brady went down to play for the Bucs, and Drew Brees. They put up this totally contrived 201 stat in his 201st career game before he gives up the big lead to Dallas and blows it, which we loved because we had a 16 parlay that day, and it looked like it was in jeopardy because we had the Cowboys to give Matt Ryan his 49th career road loss, like Dallas's 49, which he did end up picking up after blowing the big lead in the National Fixed League, where NFL's also 49. Remember when the 49ers beat the Chargers with 49 points? That was before Nick's time. But anyway, it's all fixed, and now Harbaugh's coaching the Chargers. I don't want to talk about it. Super Bowl's in New Orleans. Where you remember Super Bowl 47, the Harbaugh Bowl? John 47, just last week on Monday Night Football. Last Monday Night Football was the 47th day of the NFL season. We had it dead on. John to win, Jim to lose, just like Super Bowl 47. Todd Bowles stayed on 47 wins versus the Bucks. Jim Harbaugh stayed on 47 wins in the regular season. I mean, look, you guys. Look. Here, I'll prove it right now that that's the exact case. It's all fixed together. Jim Harbaugh. Oh, shit, his stats went up because he just won yesterday. So you'll see that now he's on 48 wins in the regular season. So, I mean, just take away his win yesterday against the Saints. He was on 47 wins. Now he's 48, right? Todd Bowles lost the last 2 weeks. So he's still on 47. But last week, it was just an obvious 47 ritual on the 47th day of the season. Again, shit goes on every day. Rig sports, rig politics. Learn the code. Todd Bowles, 47 wins. Lost this week and last week. 47 is the 15th prime. Atlanta beat him this week. So... But yeah, puppet show. It goes beyond politics. News, politics, sports, puppet show. And you can see right through it if you have the knowledge. So, all right. An hour and a half of truth bombs. Thank you very much, Oscar Garcia. Big 5 right there. And thank you again, Sarah. She says, thank you as always, Zach, for a great stream. Well, you're very welcome. I hope it reaches some people and wakes a few more people up. I'd love to see Nick Shirley and his mom step up to the debate. Let's have a debate about if you should be voting as an American adult in rigged selections, ruled over by satanic parties. By the way, in 2000, the elephant logo for the Republicans, they inverted the stars, so they became downwards pointing 5-pointed stars, which is the same symbol as the Church of Satan. So, and it's both political parties. They're all doing these satanic rituals. So, if you think you really should be voting for evil in rigged selections, and that's the adult thing to do, then we are totally screwed. If you can embody the spirit of Thomas Jefferson, who said if you don't revolt every 19 years, you will lose freedoms and liberties, and you can become part of that revolution, well, then you're talking my language. Again, 19 years apart were all these things. COVID-19, the 19 hijackers on 9/11, the war on drugs, the war on JFK's head, and the year we deployed the most troops to World War II. Why every 19 years? Why did Thomas Jefferson say you should revolt every 19 years? Because the cabal works by the cycle of the moon, which is a 19-year cycle. They are the occult. They operate in the realm of nature and numbers, which are a part of nature, hidden mathematical sequences, and again, through this sorcery, they seemingly keep everybody under a spell, spells and spelling. So, appreciate the 2 donations. Thank you very much, and we'll leave it there for now. Again, please do hit the like and share, and please do help get out the word. Again, this channel's been deleted 20-some times. There was a lot more I could have shared with you about the ritualism to all these numbers. You know, January 6th, the big 201 in that. That was 201 days after the only Confederate statue fell in D.C. You know, that probably should have been brought up since so many people are so hung up on that. And that's what it's crazy. I didn't realize so many Americans really were hung up on that psyop, but I guess it worked. Because half the people they talk to on the street are like, I'm not voting for Trump. He was part of the insurrection. Check this out, you guys. Insurrection. Now, hold on. Insurrection. You see the 78? Trump's 78 years old right now, like there's 78 cards in the tarot deck, and the top cards are Trump cards. That thing happened 78 days after Kamala's birthday, and we told you the week of the inauguration why it would be Trump versus Kamala at the start of 2021. We said when she's 59 and he's 81, the torch will get passed. He supposedly got 81 million votes for the 59th election. You see how both President Biden, 7281. President Trump, 7281. And by the way, President Biden, you see the 144, just like Jesuit order? If you throw a "the" in front of it, that's where it's 201. Also matters. But if you look up the Transition Integrity Project, hosted by Jesuit Georgetown, June 12, 2020, they simulated that Biden would win the election, Trump would refuse to step down, and it would lead to a deadly altercation in America. Hello, January 6th. Again, remember Georgetown was boarded up before anybody up for January 6th. Again, that was all 201 days before January 6th went down. And the Confederate flag flew that day. Lincoln blamed the Civil War on the Confederates. Confederates, another big 201. Only Confederate statue goes down 201 days before January 6th. Like 6-1, like the American Civil War began in 1861. And remember, that statue got torn down because of the George Floyd riots. George Perry Floyd 201. Right now you got the one ticket of Kamala and Tim Walz, who are like, yeah, burn down Minneapolis, the Twin Cities, very Catholic, and bail out all the protesters. And anyway, George Floyd, if you look, his name was protested in Europe alongside Adama Traore. Adama Traore was killed in similar fashion on the 201st day of the year, exactly 201 weeks before George Floyd. And if you look it up, it was the 201st day of the leap year, just like how this year on the 201st day of the leap year we had the tech outage, big tech outage, where big tech's completely Jesuit controlled, and you can see through these things undoubtedly if you just learn Gematria. But here you count the full span right here. Adama Traore killed July 19, 2016. George Floyd supposedly killed on Memorial Day, which came out of the Civil War. Exactly a span of 201 weeks. The news broke on May 26th, kind of like how Minnesota got their 526th franchise win over Houston this year in the NFL, because remember, George Floyd's from Houston, and that's how rigged it all is. Minnesota Vikings also equals 201. But again, from the day the news broke was May 26, 526. The news broke 201 weeks after Adama Traore. And again, in Europe, the comparisons were drawn instantly. And then you might recall that we heard from the baby mama, George Floyd, Roxy Washington. And then you might recall that day Lamar Ferguson was on the news saying he was beat up by the same group of cops. And that obviously reminded us of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Michael Brown, 201. That happened August 9th, the day leaving 144 days left in the year. You can actually still see the same body of the Michael Brown that was killed in a museum in Chicago right now. The same exact body, which is the same plastic dummy that they kept out on the streets of Ferguson for that whole day. There never was a Michael Brown. For everyone who doesn't know that, it's because you don't do good enough homework in the information age, because the video used to be viral and everywhere for everyone who was paying attention, which Google's now surely scrubbed. Remember, Google's CEO right now is Sundar Pichai. Google celebrates their birthday on the same day the Jesuits are recognized by Rome, September 27th. But Michael Brown was a plastic dummy. And the proof of that is the video footage of when the police, remember how they stood in a circle so nobody could see anything with their arms locked? Because isn't that normal that when they kill somebody, they just all get in a big circle and lock arms and stand together so the media can sit there and film it? But at the end of that, if you can still find the footage, it used to be on my channel, but my channel's been deleted 20 some times, and I didn't back up everything I ever had. And that's because Google's always made it so some of your videos you can't back up. For anyone who does good work, you know how that is when Google won't let you download your video and it gets corrupted on any other source you try to download it on. Again, they took the body and they loaded it into the back of a police SUV because it's just a dummy. And you can still see the same dummy, and it's on a museum on 47th Street in Chicago. Look that up too. It's on 47th Street. Has to do with Timothy McVeigh, who supposedly blew up Oklahoma City on the anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola being recognized as the first superior general, and is arrested in a Mercury marquee on a Wednesday when Wednesday's named after Mercury and it's the trickster. And that's why Trump did Operation Warp Speed on the day to worship Mercury after Event 201. What was his accomplice? Terry Lynn Nichols. Just goes on and on and on. Again, that's the day in history that Ignatius of Loyola, the first superior general of the Jesuits, was recognized by the Roman Catholic Church. It goes on and on and on. And, the difference between me and Nick Shirley is, well, a lot of things. But, again, when I go places and share knowledge and information, my subs go way down. When Nick goes out and pounds payment, his subs go way up. And it's not because people are really unsubscribing from me. It's because Google's destroying the channel. All of a sudden, people are kicked off my Patreon, and they can't subscribe anymore. That's the difference between when I go out and pound payment in the country and talk to people. I get destroyed. Why does that not happen to Nick Shirley? Because Nick Shirley's doing what the system wants. Nick Shirley's validating the lies. I give him the benefit of the doubt because he's only 22 years old, but then again, when I was 18, I was a million miles ahead of where he is right now. I was 18 when 9/11 happened, and I was nobody's fool. I already knew the election was rigged, 9/11 was a lie, and something was seriously going on with number rituals. So, again, Nick, you are 22 and you're young, and you've got a lot of years ahead of you, but at this day and age, in the information age, you should be a lot further ahead than where you are, and you shouldn't be out on the streets scolding people for saying they're not voting. You should be right with them and understand. And realize some of the older, wiser people you've talked to, they've explained to you what a scam politics is. I believe you were just in Detroit, if I'm not mistaken, and an older gentleman with a gray beard was telling you how he used to work for a politician, and he was explaining to you why nobody should be participating in these scams. He was telling you about, the cup and the bottom, and how the bottom is the most important part of the cup, just like how the poorest people in this nation are the most important, and no politician represents any of them. They just exploit them. Because without the working class and the poor, there's nothing. That was all very true, and you should have heard that. And your mom should know better too. She should have more recognized that. All right, so shout out to Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas and his son came out and pounded pavement with us in Portland. He says, if you compulsorily need to vote, write in your candidate on some toilet paper before you take a dump. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Appreciate it. All right, we'll leave it there. Again, thanks to everyone who hits the like and the share. And until next time, True Seeker.